Second.
We're live.
Welcome to Stirring the Pot with Lou Marconi and Johnny Cleveland. Part of the Fanatical L's Network, fans first. Join us now. Oh, join us now. I'm Johnny Cleveland. That's Lou Marconi. And we are stirring the pot tonight, Monday night, July 29th. Yes, we are. We got a little technical glitch here, man. I think the live button thing didn't pop on, man.
It does, yeah. It screws you up. You got to be kind of wait, and then what I do when I do my shows, I'll hit the live button, hit the music, and just wait, and then it comes on. It just sometimes it delays it. Yeah.
Well, you guys know Lou and we are part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of Fans First Sports, and we had an idea to do a show together. We thought we'd start trying it out right now before the Brownies start their season ahead. And hopefully you've seen the advertisements, the caricatures of Lou and I. I think they're very accurate.
Yes, they are. I look a little bit leaner in there than normal, but okay. That's cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to do this with you, Lou. You've been a really good added addition to our Fanatical Elves and Fans First. And people love you if they listen to you.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate it. People come up to me, like the last time I was out and about with the fans was at the Top Dog Tailgate a few months ago. People were coming to me, they were a fan of the show, and I was like, oh, you're the one. I was joking.
Right.
I was like, and they kind of were surprised. I said, no, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I got to talk with other Browns podcasters. So I'm still doing the Friday night show, Burning River Browns Friday night with myself and Sherry. And I did secure, I'm going to record an interview with Orange and Brown Report, Jack Duffin.
Excellent.
So I will have Jack Duffin. I will have I'll roll the tape on the interview that night. So I'm going to do it Friday morning my time. It's going to be like 3 p.m. his time and across the pond.
Yeah, so, you and Jack are becoming buddies. This will be the second.
Oh, it's like the third or fourth.
The third time. Okay.
Third time, because before I was with the Fanatical Elves, I was with CLE Sports Talk. Still have a good working relationship with them.
Yeah.
It's just now I'm here, and so yeah, he was
get Cameron Justice on the horn for me too. I'm trying to track.
I'll do what I can. I know she's in the Greenbrier. She had a lot of really good interviews today, so she's very quality. Yeah, I will reach out to her. I mean, I have her. Yeah, I'll definitely
tell her Johnny Cleveland has been calling. I think she knows.
Johnny Cleveland. Yeah, she probably thinks you're stalking her.
That's right.
He's married. It's cool.
Let's go ahead and pause for I know you like to pause quickly in our show, so let's go ahead and pause for a quick break. This is the Fanatical Elves Network, part of Fans First Sports Network, and this is our new show, Stirring the Pot with Lou Marconi and Johnny Cleveland. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Do you like those tantalizing commercials, Lou?
Oh, beautiful. Yep, and we're on live. We are on live.
We are.
Yes, we are. I'm reposting it. I'm making sure.
Awesome. So we've had a lot going on. Today was day 4.
First fully padded practice.
The Greenbrier. Now I understand it was a little shortened because of the weather. They started earlier than they were scheduled to, I think, and then it rained, so they got about an hour in. But they didn't do they didn't really do any kind of hitting with the pads. They kind of got them on, did a walkthrough. From what I understand, I listened to Fred Greetham's post off the Orange and Brown Report. So he always has a solid report there. I guess he and his buddy won the pickleball tournament. Is that right?
I think so. I think so. Mary Kay protested and gave him an asterisk. I guess I wasn't there, so I don't know. But
Mary Kay's in everything. She's
involved everywhere. She's all over the place. She's been covering the team a long time.
She really has. And, but, today, early on in the, I don't know what the order was with the guys talking, but Andrew Barry spoke. Interesting parts of that conversation. I kind of wanted to dive in there with you. Heard some really positive things just about like his Andrew Berry's outlook on the team and what he wants, maximum effort and potential. He really wants the players to maximize that. And when he's looking at his own, like the goals for the team, but then he kind of got into this. He talked about some of the players too, like Amari Cooper, and the fact that they did this restructure of this deal. And the conversation was, well, would you extend him? And I thought the part of the conversation that really caught my attention, and you probably heard this too, was where he talked about how if Amari were to finish this season and go for another year and a half, that he will have been with the Browns longer than any other team that he had played for in the NFL, which I find fascinating because some people are saying, oh, Amari's going to be here and then he's gone. But that didn't certainly sound like a guy that wants to leave.
It certainly did not. And if I remember correctly, he started his career with the Raiders. Then he went to Dallas, and then he got traded to us. And if you remember, we got him for like a 5th-round pick, if I remember correctly.
Oh, we got him for a steal.
Yeah, it was an absolute steal. And it was a cap dump. It was a salary cap dump. You got your Diet Coke. You're ready to go. It was a salary cap dump by Dallas. And I couldn't believe it when I first saw it reported on Twitter. That was a couple of years ago. I think it was right. Was that 2022? Yes, it was. Yeah, because we extended him. Go ahead.
No. I was trying to recall the dates.
Yeah, because I know it was right before we traded for Deshaun Watson. And and I think the organization, based on his production and what he's done since he's been there, and I think his leadership has shown we can keep him around. I know usually they don't like to spend a lot of money on players that are over the age of 30, but I think they're making an exception based on his skill set and leadership. That's just what I'm hearing.
His career numbers, they said that he'll go over 10,000 in his career more than likely this year if he sticks with the Browns, from what Andrew Berry was projecting. But I'm just so intrigued by, keeping a player like that. I just think that's so important. I talked about it the other day on my Johnny Cleveland podcast, and you've talked about this endlessly, just what this team is and where it is. And Barry talked about that too in this presser, just all the folks that are part of the team now, adding Mike Vrabel. We can talk a little bit about him here in a minute. I mean,
a former Buckeye.
Doing sprints against, James. Impressive. And just very impressive.
The energy he brings, him and Jim Schwartz. How can I put this? I'm excited to watch this team. We're both season ticket holders.
Yeah.
We're going to be at games. I'm excited to go to the games. I'm excited to see what this team can do. The thing I said to Sherry and to the ladies of the Pod Squad and other Browns podcasts, I was saying this months ago. We can't beat ourselves, and we have to be healthy. That's the two things. That's the thing. We can be our own worst enemies, and injuries are the two things that can hold us back. So, go ahead.
No, I totally am on board with you. And I think you and I were about the same age, or in that same age bracket, where we've been watching the team for about the same length of time, like a lot of Browns fans that might be listening tonight or listening or watching us. And I think they would agree with us that this period right now that we're going through is really something that it's that kind of that same feeling that we had in that late 80s, early 90s period where we were very good. And we haven't gotten to the AFC championships like, Bernie did and all those.
Not yet. Not yet. But we have to win a division too. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just think we're just the foundation and everything that we're doing, the stability and the consistency that we always talk about is just really, really there. I can't think of another time other than that period when I was growing up. It's that same vibe. And it was interesting to hear Andrew Berry talk about Kevin Stefanski early on in his presser and saying how that Stefanski is the easiest coach to get along with in all of the NFL.
I saw that quote.
And I think it's like he's sort of, steady Eddie. I call Stefanski steady Eddie. Just he's calm. His interactions with players. You saw a little bit of that when he was mic'd up the other day at camp. Talking to some of the players and about coming to West Virginia and the Greenbrier and his and then the jokes that he does. Like, he took the jewelry from DeJuan Jones, and he goes and talks about pawn shops, and then goes back, gives it back to DeJuan, and tries to brush it off like it was the players who were talking about the pawn shop. I just think those are the good things that you see in coaches that really can connect.
Let me ask you this: would you say the word stoic would best describe Kevin Stefanski? Because he doesn't seem to be too rattled too easily.
Right. I think he was. I think he's stoic, but I'm almost like he's letting his guard down a little bit. I think as he's maturing as a Browns coach now. What is this year? 4 or 5?
This will be 5. We're in 5
God,
now, and they got their extensions.
Yeah, and I just think he's been the players around him, from Myles Garrett to David Njoku, these players who, like David Njoku, wanted to be traded at some point. Now he's really becoming a leader.
He's
Myles
happy
Garrett,
here.
yeah, I mean you got these chunks of players all around Stefanski, and you know when you get those star players who are kind of then leading the team, Stefanski's just sort of that guide over the top, and it's really a great position. Now they talked about Mike Vrabel, and Barry was very honest and open about Vrabel not being here very long. Probably the head coach next year again.
Somebody will give him a job. He'll get a job somewhere.
Are you surprised that he was just no one picked him up? Do you think it was just?
Yeah, kind of, because I thought he was a good coach. He just didn't have a good team in Tennessee. He just didn't have good players. I was a little bit surprised by that. I think the thing that was like by the time he was like, most of the, I mean, when a coach is fired, I think the ownership group, or maybe even they have somebody in mind who they want. They already kind of have a good idea who they want. But even though they're telling the media, we're combining, they know who they wanted. It's like when Freddie Kitchens was fired, they, I think the owner said, okay, we should have listened to the analytics people and hired Stefanski. And I think Stefanski was hired a year too late, because I think that was a wasted year with Freddie Kitchens.
You reminded me that name was out there when we hired Kitchens, that we didn't go with Stefanski initially.
No, that was because that was a John Dorsey decision, and they told John Dorsey, hey, we're taking the organization in a different direction. We want you to stay aboard and do this. He asked to leave. They said, okay, you're free to go. And as far as I know, he's a front office, works in an advisory capacity for the Detroit Lions.
Oh, is that what he does now?
He's working with the Lions. Dorsey is, and Dorsey did a good job when he was here with us. He started to turn it around,
right?
And one of I'm going to lead into this. One of the things that Haslam has done, the Haslam family, I should say this, is I've heard this advice about people that are successful in business, and even you could take that into your personal life too. You hire slowly, but you fire quickly. Meaning, take time to vet people.
Yeah.
And then when you realize, okay, this is a mistake, this isn't going to work, cut it loose and do it. And Haslam did do that. I will say that he went through a bunch of people until he got it right, and he learned on the fly too. The reason why I said that with personal life, it's talking about if you're courting a woman or a young lady, and you want to get to know her, take your time and get to know her.
Right.
But if she shows a bunch of red flags, cut it loose. Move on.
We have relationship. We offer relationship advice.
Yes, I do. Yes, that's why I said where it came from. I've heard that, and I said actually when I heard that advice in my mid-30s, and 7 months later I met my wife, and I will tell you, know what you want and know what you don't want. That's my relationship advice. Make sure you understand that. And anyway, I didn't mean to go into that.
No, hey, folks, Monday nights, 9:00. Not only are we going to stir the pot, we are stirring the pot, but you come back for some more relationship advice.
First thing I asked her, I said,
we're going to have a couch right over here.
Yeah, we'll have a couch and some coffee, and we'll talk. Just coffee talk, no big whoop. So I was going to say, because one of the questions I asked her, she really didn't follow sports and football, so it wasn't a big deal. But I said, you just can't be a Steelers fan. That's what I told her. I said, no, that's a deal breaker for me. Done.
Yes,
I would never do that. But going back to how old we are, I was 7 years old for the Cardiac Kids year, and that's the first time I remembered. That's me early age remembering the Browns on TV.
Right.
Was the Brian Sipe and the Miller Lite?
Yeah, I was a little bit older than you, but I've told this story. I mean, I really watched that whole season of 78, 70, or 79 leading into that playoff
Mhm.
game. I was crying like a baby after that loss. It was my first emotional experience as a Browns, fan. I think I was in six. I think I was about 12. You said you were 7, so I think I have about
Mhm.
5 years on, maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
4
I
or 5
was
years on you.
1980. I was 7 years old. Yep.
Yeah, those are crushing moments. Now the Haslam spoke the other day,
Mhm.
and one of the things they was brought up was again about the stadium plans, and I thought again it was interesting that both the Dee and Jimmy said that it really is tied to what the fans want. And then I heard,
Mhm.
Tony Grossi, the beat writer for the Plain Dealer, and what all those things in the past. He said, obviously, these there have been what am I thinking of? I can't think of the terminal. They've been doing asking the fans
Talks.
polls.
They've been doing polls and just
And
kind of
the
like
polls are
surveys.
and
I
the
didn't get
surveys are
anything
coming
as a
back.
season ticket holder. I didn't get anything as a season ticket holder. Did you? I'm
Um,
curious.
I've gotten stuff, but I don't know nothing recently. I guess the thing
Nothing
is
about
that
a stadium. I get stadium experience questions and
yeah,
everything else, and the feedback I give them, and I tell them this.
yeah,
I said, look, overall the atmosphere is great, but
yeah,
I'm in the upper level. The food sucks up there compared to the
right,
lower level,
right.
and I say, look, get
That's a
better
good
food in the
point.
upper level.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, the food, and most of the time when I go, depending on the weather, I'll either go to a food truck that's tailgating to get
right,
something to eat before the game, or I'll eat at Tower City because I take the Rapid.
right.
So it's usually what I
Where
do.
where do
And
you go to town? Where do you go in Tower City? I haven't.
there's I can't
I
remember the
go
name of it exactly. There's a Chinese food place that's open there at Tower City on Sunday mornings.
really.
We usually eat there. Yeah, there's I can't. It's when you get off, and then
Yeah,
like if you go
yeah.
walk
I get
toward
off there. Yeah, I get off
you
there.
head. Yeah, if we get off and you go up on the escalator and you head
Yeah,
toward the food court there's a
the
Chinese
food court. Do I
restaurant.
go? So I go left, not right, because I
Yeah,
go
you go
right.
left. You're right. You're going outside.
You go
Yeah.
out to the Tower City. Okay, but if I go
Yeah.
left, that's where very
Yeah, upper
minimal.
level. Yeah, yeah, Steve, you're right. Yeah, upper
Thanks.
level has very minimal food. That's the feedback I've given them on that. As I
So
said,
when
the
you go
upper
get your
level.
Chinese, what do you get?
It depends. It depends on what they usually have available. But I'm pretty much, I'm Szechuan chicken. I like it hot. I like it
Yeah.
spicy. So that's about it. So it's
It's
some egg
raring to
rolls.
go on a Sunday morning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just all.
Uh,
Yeah. But
that's funny that there's a Chinese restaurant open on Sunday mornings in
there
Terminal
was an
Tower.
the terminal tower, and there was an incident. I guess this guy was doing something with the lady's tip jar, and this little Chinese lady started yelling at this guy in Chinese
Oh my
because I
gosh.
think he goes, I was trying to put money in. She's like,
Yeah.
it was just we're like, wow.
Right.
We're like, man,
Right.
she was ready to chop his hand off.
Oh my
I
gosh.
guess like mall security came, and I was like, it's not us, it's not us. We're
No,
just waiting in
we're
line.
going the other way now. Have you ever
Yeah.
gone into their the casino? Do you ever stop in there?
No, no, no,
No.
no, no.
Okay.
I haven't gone to the casino yet. I haven't done that
Okay.
yet. But yeah,
Usually
that's
everybody comes back to go to when they get on the train. A
mm,
lot of people need to go use the restrooms, and so everybody goes into the
casino.
casino because there's a large restroom area. It's always this stream of Browns
That's good
fans,
to know. There's always a
Yeah,
good to know.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
gone there's usually like when the weather's nice, we'll go to the food trucks on West 6th Street by the
Right.
Barley House.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll
Yep.
go there. And there's always something good.
There's always there's some good food trucks. I've done that
Mhm,
too. There's a lot of good bars over on that side of town. Right,
mhm,
that little strip there.
mhm. And then I've also done Top Dog Tailgate. They
Right.
depending on who the opponent is. And that's it. I mean,
What about
that's really
Muni
what
Lot? You ever gone over that way? The other direction?
I haven't in a long time. I
Yeah,
haven't
nor have
like
I. I was
yeah,
probably a kid.
it's been at least 10, 15 years since I've gone.
I
I've been to
used
the
to
pit. I've been to the pit, but I haven't gone to the Muni lot.
see my experience going to the Muni Lot was back in the day when we're talking like back in the 80s and all that time period. And
Mhm,
I had a couple cousins that were rebel rousers, and they had an old like one of those old beat up Buicks.
mhm.
And we'd be on the shoreline on I-90, skimming along there. We'd be in the median. Oh, we have something.
Breaking news.
Okay.
Well, this is actually 4 hours old. I just saw the tweet. The Cowboys are closing in on a 4-year deal with star wide receiver CeeDee Lamb,
Okay.
worth around 136 million.
Okay.
4
4
years,
years and 136. So that's about what we
yeah.
were thinking, right? Let's see, that's
Let me
30
do some.
some. Yeah, it's about 34 a year. Is that right? If I do the math
Uh,
right in my head.
yeah, hang on.
Well, anyway, my short story here while you're looking at that.
Yeah.
speeding around, driving the median, scared to death. I was about 12, 13 years old, not
It's
trying to pee
34,
my pants.
34
Uh,
million. 34
34
million. Go
million.
ahead.
So I'm telling the story about how I didn't have to pee. I didn't want to pee my pants, Lou. So that's
Oh, that's a good thing.
because my cousins were crazy. And then you go to the Muni lot, and everybody's doing this, that, and the other thing. So, I was new to that whole experience when I was a youngster. So I haven't been back since because I'm scared.
You're scared of the Muni lot? It's been a long time. I've gone out there, hung out with people I knew, played cornhole, had a few beers.
Yeah,
Nothing major.
no, that's good. So anyway, we were talking about the Haslams and this whole idea with the stadium. Do you think, they were saying how 90% is being driven by the fans, and all these surveys and polls and things that I couldn't think of earlier are suggesting that the fans want a dome stadium. So I'm guessing that that's the route they're going toward. And then the lease for the Brown Stadium again is over in 2028 is if I'm
At the end of the 2028 season. So it would have to be ready exactly 5 years from now, around just
so
before.
the announcement. See, I'm thinking we're going to find something out within. I think it's at least the middle part to maybe by Christmas this year.
I would think. Yeah.
Based on a timeline, they've got to get going on something here. If we're going into 2025, if you want that ready for the 28, it would be at the end of the 28th season. No, it would be.
Yeah, it'd be early 2029. So we're 5 years from around now.
Okay.
So you figure by 5 years by early August. So yeah. So you
Okay.
think it's at least a 3.5 to 4 year 3.5 to 5 year project. So and there's so many deals and so many things they have to go through and so many complexities with it.
Yeah.
You're talking and that's what he was saying. He's like, hey, look, it's whether we stay downtown with remodeling what we have or we build a whole new one. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of logistical things and a lot of work moving parts, and that's true.
See, now let me shift gear. Well, I'm not shifting. Well, I am shifting gears here.
Well, because financing was one of them, and there's the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, which was saying things that was inaccurate. My understanding is either project, the Haslams are picking up half the bill.
Right, that's my understanding. Right, that's what I'm.
Yeah, but these guys were making it sound like he wasn't going to pay for any of it, and I'm like,
oh no.
And I'm like, that was Jay Crawford. I'm going, no, I don't think so.
No, they say a lot of weird stuff on that show.
Yeah, and I most of the time I do like him, but sometimes I'm like, and he's going crazy saying, "Well, how could you ask that one of the poorest cities?" Okay, the syntax that built where the Rocket Mortgage Field House, Progressive Field is at, and the Cleveland Browns Stadium, that was the county. It wasn't the city. So, and this one, I think they're working with state funding, federal funding.
So when the Haslams were speaking on this, they talked about here in Columbus, because I live here in Columbus, and they're talking a lot about the Columbus Crew and this new stadium down here. Everybody loves it. And I'm not a big soccer or football fan. I don't know if you are,
okay.
but there's a lot of soccer fans here. It's a beautiful arena. But they were just talking about how it's really brought in, and it really has. Columbus is growing regardless of them, but because of the putting that in, that's added additional growth to downtown. It's right near the AAA ballpark, Huntington Park, here for the Columbus Clippers as well. So there's a lot of activity, and they just had the All-Star game down here, and I think the Haslams were speaking to that, how it really generated a lot of excitement. It's still never going to get me excited for soccer. I guess it's, why it is, Lou. I was trying to say this on my own podcast. It's because, it's great that people love soccer and all this stuff. And I know kids and families invest thousands and bazillions of dollars in soccer teams and programs and stuff. But our soccer teams in the USA, when it comes to these world, championships and stuff, we don't do very well.
It's not a major sport for us. It's
not.
No,
and everybody wants it to be. And I think for the last 40 years, I remember back in the 80s, the whole push for soccer and all, I don't know. All right. Well, so the Haslam spoke. I did want to mention, go back to Andrew Barry. I had a question for you about Deshaun. because
Okay.
you and I were talking about this off air a little bit before we came on,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I and maybe it's the
I,
psychology, and yeah.
I didn't catch the same tone that you did, but go
All
ahead.
right,
You,
so
you
I'm just
say
going
it.
to refer to it, and you guys, if you want to go back
Yeah.
and watch Andrew Barry's presser, um, I guess, and then you can speak about this in comparison to like Amari, like you were saying. So Andrew Berry spoke about Amari Cooper and the contract, and maybe this idea of extending him, and he just seemed, eager to talk about it. Like, and then the next questions involved Deshaun, and I don't know. I felt like there was just this change in his tone, not a huge thing, just a little thing that got me just thinking, huh? Like, I think he gets along. Obviously, everybody loves Deshaun, apparent according to what they say.
Mm-hmm.
But and he said positive things. Lou, you spoke about it before we came on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just felt like
You
this
just didn't get the
uneasiness.
same vibe. You
No,
didn't
I
get the
just
same vibe.
didn't. Yeah, and so why is that? Why do you think I'm reading too much into it?
Maybe a little bit, but I'm also thinking too, Amari Cooper's production since he's been here has been great, amazing. Pro Bowl level, number one receiver, great player, great leader, and everything else. Deshaun has yet to prove himself here.
Yeah,
He still has to earn what he got. And I think, and even if Deshaun was sitting here, I think he would agree. He says, yeah, I only played in 12 games in 2 years. And
right.
if even if you want to count the Indianapolis game, we had no business being out there last year. So I think it's really like if we're here a year from now and you're hearing that tone and Deshaun played the whole year and didn't do so well,
Right.
then yeah. But I think he's just like it's more of a wait and see type of thing with
So there
Deshaun.
can there continues to be this conversation, though. I know outside of us, I see conversations, and we've talked about this off air, where we've got maybe they're primarily older fans that are anti Deshaun just because.
Mhm.
And Deshaun kind of spoke to that the other day when he had his presser, about how he's learned that he
Yeah.
just can't. He's not going to change people's opinions, because in this conversation I was having with like an older fan and then some younger fans who are Browns fans. The younger fans are fans of Deshaun Watson and really just said this guy is my quarterback, and I love my Browns, and so he's my leader, and so I'm going to cheer for Deshaun. And the older fans are like, well, we just think that Deshaun is just a piece of crap, you know. So
He's a scumbag. He's
yeah,
this, he's
scumbag,
that.
everything, right? So I don't know. I'm writing this.
Uh,
I wrote an article about those boundary or those barriers that Deshaun was going to face up front. The money,
yeah.
the comparisons to Baker Mayfield winning a Super Bowl. I mean, and initially, I wrote that article back, when we initially signed him after that
Mhm.
22 season, and now I'm going back and I'm kind of reflecting on that in this latest article I'm writing for Fans First. So,
Yeah.
do you see anything? What obstacles are you seeing? I mean, he got a lot of negativity from a lot of fans this week because he used the BS,
Yeah, yeah,
terminology in his
and
press.
I have an article I submitted today, and I should drop hopefully tomorrow about it and how it didn't bother me that he said that the expletives, could have probably done without it, but there's a lot of emotion that comes with competitive athletes.
Mm-hmm,
And I said, who wouldn't have been distracted by that? Now
mm-hmm,
he brought it upon himself. He made poor judgment.
mm-hmm,
Absolutely. I even said in my article when it comes out is that okay, there was not enough evidence to indict him.
mm-hmm,
There wasn't. Two grand juries couldn't do it. So
mm-hmm.
was there anything illegal done? That's hard to prove. Were these women coerced and
Right,
manipulated to do something they didn't want to do? Or were these consenting adults doing something that was inappropriate?
right,
Well, I mean, it's like I said, it's his word against theirs, so nobody really knows the truth. And I also made a point that there's other professional athletes that have been ostracized just by allegations, including Trevor Bauer, who was
mm-hmm.
like 2 years later, he had
Yes,
all the receipts, he had all the proof. This woman was lying. This woman just completely fabricated this,
yeah,
and he had the police would not do anything about it because they said her story doesn't hold water. She
mm-hmm,
has no evidence of it. They tried to sue. He didn't give her anything.
mm-hmm,
And but I'm not saying it's the same, but I'm saying that there's other times a professional athlete has been taken to court and
mm-hmm.
convicted.
Yeah,
Mike Tyson being an example.
yeah.
Okay. that happened. So it's not that it's not always believe the athlete or always believe the women, but just look at the evidence. That's
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying. And I said, okay,
Right.
this is what the evidence says
Mhm.
right now based on what we know.
Right.
Now did he use poor judgment? Absolutely.
Mhm.
I said I think he wants to put it past him. I think he wants to block it out and just
Sure.
move forward. And let's hope we see that on the field. That's really
Yes.
what I was saying.
Well, and I think both you and I agree. I mean, we all agree. Any Browns fan right
Mhm.
now, we want to see Deshaun out there. We want
We,
him. We
we
knock
want to
on
see
wood.
success.
We want him to be healthy, um, and get through a season. You know, he's not had many seasons where he got through an entire one without some type of setback or injury. And I'm
Mhm.
just hoping that. I mean, that's a big part of what we're looking at for this team's success.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do musical chairs with quarterbacks again. I thought it was cool to hear Andrew Barry talk today about adversity with the team and how
Yeah.
he really admired how the team was very professional and they
Mhm.
really worked together considering the circumstances that happened last year. And they're going to have to repeat that. They're going to have, and that's tough. Anytime you start a team over, or you're not starting over, but you start a new season to get everybody motivated and going in the same direction and staying on the same page can be very difficult. So I
Mhm.
hope, part of that makes you got to make sure that Deshaun stays healthy. If he
Yeah.
doesn't stay healthy, then we're going to be, there's going to be more question marks and things that are arise.
God
And
knows what
yeah,
else. It's just, yeah, I agree. It's just because you remember when he had the shoulder surgery, is the Rams game, he was in the stands and he wasn't on the
yes,
field, and
yeah,
everybody made a big deal about that when the doctors told him not to be there on
yeah,
the field on the side because there might get a chance he could take a
uh-huh,
hit.
yes,
But Nick Chubb was in the loge when he had
right,
his knee surgery. He wasn't even out on the field during the Brown Steelers game when he was
right,
in
right,
attendance. So it's like, I think sometimes I mean, criticism is fair for any professional athlete on their performance on the field. Sometimes I actually had a conversation with a fan not too long. It was right after he got injured and he was out for the year. The guy was saying in the same breath that, oh, I prefer to have somebody out there that's willing to put himself on the line and take the hits.
yeah,
Okay. And he says, oh, Deshaun won't take the hits. Within a few sentences later, he was complaining him for not protecting himself. I'm like, well, what is it? I mean,
right.
he got hurt, and yeah, and I mean, and just look at that second half in Baltimore. What
Yes,
he did,
it really
and
was. Yeah,
that was spectacular. And I
yeah.
think I think what he figured out, if you noticed, he wasn't trying to hit a home run on every play. He took what the
No,
defense gave him.
no, it was
Yeah,
in. Yeah, the
yeah, go
interesting
ahead,
that.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say and you're right, spot. I mean, that game was really one of the best for Deshaun. I was
Oh,
also reminded there were some highlights. Somebody put together a nice highlight reel about some of the different things that happened in that game that really gave the Browns an opportunity
yeah.
at the end of the first half. The Browns got a couple interceptions.
Mhm.
The Baltimore
Greg Newsom
Raven,
had his first interception, and
yeah,
he
that
returned it for a pick six. Yep.
the Ratbird, the kicker, he missed the kick at the end of the first half. We made one at the end of the first half. So those are some things that kind of altered, even though the Browns were losing at that time, it really did make a difference. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, how with Deshaun? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know, but
No,
I mean, I suspect like if he can stay healthy, man, that
just
division, AFC Championship, Super Bowl. I mean,
it's all there. It's there for the taking.
yeah.
If we stay healthy as a team overall, and he stays healthy, my goodness,
Mhm.
there's no limit what this team could do this year and next year. And I'm just saying, it's like, guys, are you familiar with who Chops is? Do you know what I'm talking about? He does the
The du-
daily gross. Yeah, yeah, the Daily
yes.
Grossi with Tony Grossi.
Okay.
There was a video, a reel that he did. I was going to send it to you. He
Uh-huh.
talked about how Cleveland Browns fans right now are not conditioned to know what to do when they have a good team.
No, that's exactly what we're
He's
talking about
exactly
because
right. It's like,
yeah,
guys, we have a good, because I think we know because we're old enough to remember the 80s.
but it's been a while. It's been
Yeah,
30 years.
yeah, since, well, yeah, it's been 30 years since,
I mean,
we
we've had a few moments, 2007, 2001,
2002,
2000,
2002,
yeah.
we made the playoffs. Was that
But that's
2001?
about
Was that
well
2002? I think it was.
2002. Okay,
Yeah.
2007, and then there wasn't a 2012
No, we didn't make the
or
playoffs to
one.
get.
What?
We didn't
Right,
make.
we didn't.
We went 7-9 one year. We were celebrating. I remember. Yeah, I think that was under Patton. I think that was under Patton his first year, and the next year we went 3-13, and
That's right. Yeah,
everybody got canned. I
I'm still
remember those
irritated.
days.
That 2014 season was. Do you remember that season? Brian Hoyer got the team to 7-4, and
And then he
then
got hurt.
and then they started putting Johnny in there. And was that the year, right? That they
Yeah.
started
They
trying
started
to.
putting Manziel in there, and then we had a very good offensive staff, which Kyle Shanahan was our offensive
Right, that
coordinator.
was the same. Right,
And he
okay.
quit. He
Man.
quit at the end of the year. He says, "I can't do this." Well, I think nobody liked Johnny Manziel. Nobody liked him. And that documentary on Netflix just blew my mind. It's like
Yeah.
they
Well,
came
and
there. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
They came to this watch him throw, and he was hungover. His receivers were so hungover they didn't show up because they're out partying with him the night before. And he's throwing passes to his agent. It's like, oh yeah, well, and then the ridiculous story that the owner of an NFL franchise listens to a homeless guy to tell him on who to draft. Okay,
Are we? But we're talking about Haslam, right?
yeah, that was Haslam. Haslam, yeah, that was Haslam. He only owned the team for like 2 years at the time. Yeah, listen to homeless people on who to put the shoulders of your franchise on. When this kid was obviously had maturity issues, it was I mean, it was all over. He had no wit, and he wasn't even the worst pick. At least he played for us. And he won a couple games.
Well, Justin Gilbert.
Didn't
That's
even
right.
play.
Yeah.
We didn't even. Nobody interviewed his coaches in
Oklahoma
college.
State Cowboy.
Yeah,
I lived out in Wichita for years, so when he got drafted out there, Big 12 school, it was like, who the hell is this guy?
that's how dysfunctional the organization was. Nobody.
Or Bavarius Mingo.
Barkevius Mingo. That was another one. Yeah, Cameron Wembley. Remember those guys?
Now, Cameron Wembley. Now, here's a little short story on Cameron Wembley. He's from Wichita.
Okay.
So when he got drafted, I think he went to West or Northwest High School in Wichita. Some of the folks that I was Browns backers, I was a Browns backer president there. Some of the folks there were friends with Cameron or Wembley. Is it Wembley?
Cameron Wembley, yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of you didn't know it, but he had a decent career, right? I mean, as I recall,
he did with us and with Tennessee. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, what are you thinking tonight, Nick Chubb? Week 1, yes or no? If you had to,
that's what I'm going to ask Jack Duffin about. But go ahead.
Well, I think it's a yes. I'm in that category, that group. I just think it's going to happen. It would be. I mean, I think
he might not get that many carries, but I think he'll suit up and play.
He'll suit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll get a couple carries just to have him introduced running out of that tunnel, the energy and the emotion. Just God, do you remember the Steelers game last year when he was just walking out with crutches and the ovation that he got? Then Jim Donovan came out and smashed the guitar.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was just. I mean, Jim was recovering from I believe was it leukemia? I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and his daughter's been on my show, and I worked with Jim when I was at WKYC. He's a great guy. And
I'd love to meet him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
We'd love to do an interview with him. If you could set that up, that would be.
I'll do what I can.
Come on our show. I'd love that.
Yeah. I'll see what he can do.
Jim with you on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you're speaking of like great moments. You and I have both talked about these recent moments, and I know it goes back a few years, but that game, the win against the New York Jets on that Thursday night game back in 2020, when we ended 2018. Was it 2018? Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield came on.
Was that? I just remember the fans going into that game. I remember the enthusiasm going into that game, primetime game, Baker against Sam Darnold of the New York Jets. And then and Baker didn't start that game. That's right. Baker did not start that game.
Rod Taylor started. And
he got injured. And then from that very first pass. Do you remember that first pass that Baker threw? The zip. I mean, it was like after watching Tyrod Taylor, who was a decent quarterback, and my daughter actually knew him from Buffalo when he played with the Bills for a little bit. Anyway, but the zip that Baker brought, I just remember that was one of those moments in Browns history that I'll never forget. I mean, there's other moments that I'm sure you and I can talk about, but that was a thrill.
I think it had to do with that was because it ended that long losing streak, and we finally got past it. And it was just and plus it was the new quarterback. Everything kind of like a star was born, and Baker Mayfield played great, and it was just finally we're doing things right, and we're checking all these boxes. I remember at the end of that year because Hugh Jackson got fired halfway through the year, and if I'm not mistaken, Greg Williams took over, and we did fairly well. We ended up winning 5 more games after Greg Williams.
Well, didn't he say recently that he could have won a Super Bowl with Baker?
I think so. But he says lots of things. But I remember people wanted him as our coach.
Yes, the following year, right?
For one reason and one reason only, is because he came across as competent. We saw competent coaching. We're like, oh, he's competent. Let's keep him. Because we had nothing before Butch. This was like, you're talking 14 years removed from Butch Davis, where Butch Davis was the last competent coach we had, because we had the Romeo Crennel years, we had the Eric Mangini, we had it was after that we had Pat Shermer.
Well, what about Romeo? You didn't like Romeo? You didn't think he was very competent?
You want to know why I didn't like Romeo? We went
why?
5. We went. How many years was he with us? 5 years? 4 years? No, 4 years. Because 05, 6, 7, 8. Okay. He went those 4 years. Not once did he beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's unacceptable in my book. That is unacceptable.
True. Yeah.
Unacceptable. Nope, we're not doing. And we had opportunities to beat them.
Yeah.
A couple times. And and so go ahead.
Well, no, we got a lot coming up, this week. I know it's going to be day 5 tomorrow there at the Greenbrier. I was telling folks on my show, the Johnny Cleveland podcast, about your story about you've been to the Greenbrier, and I shared part of your story. The part I shared was the expensive BLT sandwich that cost $17.
That was 9 years ago. $17 for a BLT. I was like, okay.
Right. And then there's a bunker, you said, right down there.
A nuclear fallout bunker for the for Congress that was put in place. Eisenhower did this in the height of the Cold War. And in case if there was a nuclear war, Congress could be shipped there, and the government could still function.
Okay.
And the bunker is still. It's like you can get a tour of it. It was interesting how they did that.
I want to end with this with you, because I want to stir the pot a little bit, and I've asked you this question before on the Fanatical Elves.
Well, thanks for the comment, Steve. Yes, the Bud Light victory fridge. Yes, that's right. I was drinking Miller Lite that night, but go ahead.
Oh, boo! What would have to happen? I mean, I've asked you this. Like, do you not? There's no way in God's green earth that the Browns aren't going to have a successful season. But I'm saying, what would have to happen for that to happen? Because you've talked endlessly, like I have too, about this really strong roster and everything. What kind of things would have to come up over this season for this team to go backwards and revert back to what
you can see catastrophic injuries. It's the only thing I could think of. I mean, the schedule is tough, especially in December. I mean, they go to Denver on Monday night, they go to Pittsburgh on Sunday, Kansas City at home, Miami at home, and then the last game of the season they go to Baltimore for early January. So that's a tough schedule. Just those last 5 games I just described are tough. I mean, it is going to be difficult. But I mean, we're a tough team. We're a good team. So I just think if the thing is staying healthy. Yeah, I think that's what they have to do. And knocking on wood, they do. Because you remember for the 2 years prior to last year, Lamar Jackson didn't play a full season.
Yeah.
if you remember. And once he
Yeah.
played the full season, they made it to the AFC Championship, and it goes to show. And we beat them in Baltimore. And
How good do you think Lamar Jackson really truly is? Because his coach thinks he's like God's gift to the mankind. He was
I,
talking about him the other day, and I'm sorry,
he's an
I love. Yeah.
he's an MVP quarterback, so I
Okay.
think he's a very good player. But I wouldn't take anything away from him. No,
Yeah.
am I going to root for my guy? Of course.
Yeah.
It's like when you talk to Steeler fans and they'll tell me T.J. Watt's better than Myles Garrett. I roll my eyes. I'm like, all right, okay, yeah. So it's just, yeah, it's insane, and just to think about the team that we have.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it too, we made a lot of. I'd have to look it up for the exact names. There was a lot of low grade, like I want to say low grade, but low key veteran offensive lineman signings. Did you notice that? Like they added a lot of depth to the O line.
Yes,
Free
and they
agent.
talked. Andrew Berry talked about depth today, in a little bit
Yeah,
at the beginning of his.
they added depth at quarterback by bringing in Jameis Winston and Ty
Mhm.
Huntley. You're not going to have PJ Walker starting. They brought in Jerry Jeudy for the number 2 receiver, but they added
Right.
a bunch of veteran journeyman offensive linemen. So you're not going to see Gerard Christian starting at left tackle in a playoff game. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just these things that I think they saw their areas of need and they attacked it,
Mhm.
like they did with the defensive line
Yeah.
the prior offseason. So I'm just saying, I know we sound like homers here, but
We'll
it's
stir the pot a little bit more as the season goes on.
well,
Part of what we want to do with this show is we want to have it Monday nights. We'll be able to look back at the games previously, and we'll
and we could
have
do
a
a
lot.
Tuesday night on a Monday night football game. I'd be happy to
Yes.
do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we could
Yeah.
talk about the NFL too. What else is going on in the
Yeah.
division, in the league?
And folks, let us know what you think. I mean, Lou and I are trying this out. We're excited. I think it's going to really be a great show moving forward. We have a lot of good shows. The network is really growing overall at Fans First, and our Fanatical Elves have been on this for a little bit over a year, and we continue to grow. And we're fans like you guys, like Steve and all of you guys who are listening. We enjoy your input because that helps us be better. And we know that there are a lot of podcasts out there that you can listen to, but we're the best looking bunch. Well, Lou is. I'm the I'm the old man. Now my
you should have
beard's
seen me
not.
in my 20s. Yeah, you should have seen me in my 20s. I was actually I
Well,
hit my peak in my mid 30s. Maybe that's when I met my wife.
go buy the apparel. The caricatures are out there. We've got the site on the X page. You can buy a coffee mug. You can buy a T-shirt of Lou or I stirring the pot. Yes.
And I was going to bring up one last thing because I put out an article today about how I'm okay with Kevin Stefanski calling the plays. If you want to stir the pot on that for the last 10 minutes of the show while you're plugging the site, I would kind of want to bring that up. And then we were going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then we wrap it up.
Yeah. Go. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Finish your plug. I mean,
I'm just, we got just remind everybody too, Fanatical Elves, we got the East Bank Sports Show. Noah Olson just came out with that. That's live right now on Apple and Spotify. We really need you guys to download us or just subscribe to us on those platforms like Apple or Spotify, and then you'll never miss a show. We get paid millions of dollars, pennies for those. Steve Gill just had his latest Dog Pound South show yesterday. Great job. Steve always bring old school, those fans that are from out of town who are Browns fans. He has a good perspective on that. We've got Jarrell Flint with his dog food radio. He's going to try to do some more of those shows coming up as the season gets going. And we have our youngsters, Sam down there in Dallas, who's been keeping us in tune with CeeDee Lamb and all that that's been going on with the Cowboys. So it's always good to have him.
That could be an indication of how the Amari Cooper deal could end up going. But,
yes. Yeah, that's all. I just want to give everybody, shout out. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. But I want to finish we want to talk about Kevin here.
Kevin.
Lou?
Well, I put in the article that I'm okay with him calling the plays because there's a lot of new offensive coaches on this team, including Ken Dorsey. And I think what you're going to see is a collaboration of the game plan and the strategy on the call sheet itself. He's going to be the one calling in the plays. What you really want to see in a good play caller is the play getting in on time. Is there communication problems? Is and then the rest. It's up to the team to execute the play because a lot of times when a play doesn't work,
it's up to the players to execute the play.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if like Cedric Tillman runs the wrong route, or if
He never did
or if
that at
somebody misses
Tennessee.
no, somebody misses a block, misses an assignment. It's
Yeah.
something, or quarterback can make the wrong read. A lot of things can go wrong
Yeah.
on a play that really isn't the play call itself. So there's more to it than that. And this isn't a video game. So that was my point on the article. I'm okay with Stefanski calls, but I like the way he handled that. He
Oh,
came right out
absolutely.
first day. I'm calling the plays. Done. That was
I
it.
just think
Put it to
what I
rest.
find really cool about Kevin Stefanski, what I've respected more and more, and even like recently, he interviewed with Kevin Smith of Fans First in the Pittsburgh outlet because
Mhm.
Kevin's family is from New Jersey, or they were in
Yep.
Ocean City, and Kevin Stefanski, yes, the Browns head coach, came to several Ocean City high school practices, and that's why Kevin Smith, who works for Fans First, is the
Yeah.
head coach at Ocean City, got an opportunity to talk to Kevin and do a great interview. If you catch it, it's on Fans First.
Yep.
It's just really, listening to Kevin Smith talk about Kevin Stefanski, down the earth kind of guy, and you see that. We see it and we hear it. And he's going into year 5 now.
Mhm.
Kevin Stefanski
Extended.
is, and
Very
it's just,
extended.
it's a really good thing. And I wasn't I wasn't the biggest, I was not the biggest Stefanski fan early on, questioning a lot of his play
Mhm.
calls, and a lot of people, come on, Kevin, run Nick more, come on, run Chubb. But
Yeah. I've heard guys call in the shows after games that I'd run Chubb 50 times a game, and I was like, okay, he'll last you 5 games. Good.
yes.
It's just like, it's like, what are you, crazy?
Now, okay, where do you fall on this? See, now I've had this argument with like fellow writers and people that I used to write for, like a Dog Pound
Mhm.
daily, where their argument was that yes, you should run Nick, but their contention was that the run game isn't going to have a good run game, or the best running back like Nick Chubb isn't going to get you to the Super Bowl. That teams get to the Super Bowl via the pass and the long ball. And I'm sorry, I'm just old school. I'm never going to change. We're Clevelanders. I just believe
Yeah,
that Browns, it can get us a Super Bowl.
it can. If with a dominant defense and a dominant running game, it can. Deshaun Watson, it doesn't have to win you every game. He doesn't.
Hmm.
He doesn't. He just can't lose you games if you're in the playoffs. And
That
there might
happened.
be. Go ahead.
Remember the Pittsburgh game? Like at the
Yeah.
beginning of
Yeah.
that game before Nick got hurt. And then what was the other game where he threw was it the Baltimore game too? Well,
Yep.
early
Right
he
away.
got
Yep.
us in a
Uh,
hole and we
he
were able
came
to
back.
come back, but
We can't. We were able to come back out
you
of
can
that.
go ahead and yeah.
But if Nick, I mean, think about it. We were about to score a touchdown, take the lead. Nick Chubb had 60 yards rushing in one quarter of
Yes.
that Pittsburgh. We were kicking their ass after
Mhm.
that. I mean, honestly. And then
Yeah.
that was such a rattling gut punch to our team after that happened. Everybody was rattled, including Deshaun,
Yeah.
including Stefanski, and it happened.
Yeah.
So now it's done. It's in the past. When
Mhm.
they came to our place, we had DTR at quarterback and we
Mhm.
won.
Yeah.
So it goes to show we have a good enough team to win. Now, if there's a game where we're going to need Watson to come through,
Mhm.
he could do it. He doesn't
Mhm.
have to do it every game. So
No.
I think there's a balance to it. I think what can get you to the Super Bowl could be that balanced team with the dominant defense, dominant running game, and a good quarterback. But if you want to win that Super Bowl, you need an exceptional quarterback along with everything else on that team.
Watson's, I don't have his stats in front of me, but when I've looked back at his
Mhm.
stats, there's nothing that has been dramatic yet. And of course, he's only played in 12 games, but we really need to see him have the touchdown passes to interception ratio a
Mhm.
far difference. We need that gap. We need a gap there.
Mhm.
We need to see Deshaun throwing 2 to 3 touchdown passes typically in a game. He doesn't have to do much, but and cut down on the mistakes, the
Yeah.
fumbles, the sacks. He's
Yeah,
always
it's in order for Pittsburgh
historically,
to
yeah,
beat us in that game in Pittsburgh, the defense scored 2 of those touchdowns.
right.
The defense scored, and they only beat us by 4 points.
Well,
I
we
mean, I'm
lost
not
the game late because of a fumble too. If you
a
remember, we got
fumble
the
recovered
lead.
for a touchdown. Yeah, it
We
was
got
a
the
strip
lead,
sack.
and then
Yeah, it was a strip sack for a
Mm.
touchdown. So it's just like, yeah, like I said, I mean, I remember I felt like I was more rattled. I wasn't so bad that we lost the game, and I was like, we lost Chubb. I'm like, oh God, this is horrible.
Oh yeah, it was so.
Yeah, it
I
was,
think everybody had that same feeling. Well,
yeah.
final takes tonight, Lou. What do you got? Anything else you want to promote? Or I know you're
Well,
still doing the Burning River show on Fridays with
during the
Sherry.
Burning River Browns Talk on Fridays, I do the Sunday Stew Pot on Rumble with Corey Castle, and I will on the Monday night, the 12th, I will be in attendance of training camp that day,
Mm,
so I could give you a direct report from Berea after the game,
yeah.
and on Friday night, I will have the interview with Jack Duffin, and I will
Okay.
ask him about, because he was the first one to say Week 1 Chubb will play. I
Yes.
remember that, and I was like, wow, so he was really
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets back to me quickly when I ask him. But and he's not always able to make it for an interview. I said, hey, I'd like to see if we get one in before the season starts, and he
Absolutely.
said, sure. So yeah,
Good.
I try not to bug people too much. I try not to, but
Well,
he's a
no.
good dude. He's a good dude, and I know some people might not always agree with him on things, but he, you want to know what he said about this team? He kind of like, he goes, you look at the numbers, there is absolutely no excuse for this team not to make it to the playoffs.
Sure. Sure.
Absolutely none.
It
And
was
this will be the first time they will make the playoffs back to back since 1988 and 1989.
right. Yeah, because they
I was in
88,
high school. I was in high school. Okay.
right. Right. I know it's been 30
My
that
sophomore and junior year, I was in high school.
you now when you were the old school, okay, like here's what I remember about those playoff games, and people might remember this if they're our age, was that when you wanted to go to those playoff games, like I lived in Worcester, so we were 45 hour away from downtown Cleveland.
Okay. I lived in
We,
Brooklyn.
to get
That was
those
about a
tickets
half hour.
to get those tickets to those playoff games. Most people, like what we would do is we would drive up to Cleveland to the stadium where they would put the tickets on sale and you'd pick them up at the stadium. Do you remember that? There were a couple of years back then in the late. I don't know if you were.
There was Ticketmaster offices you could do it
Yes.
at too, and
Yeah.
Sears. I remember at the old Sears
Yeah.
stores. I
Right.
remember that. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
did that for the 95, well, the 94 wild card game. My dad never went to a playoff game,
Yeah.
and they made the playoffs. I went and waited in line, got playoff tickets. They played the Patriots. That was
Yeah.
Belichick was the coach, and that was on New Year's Day,
But
if I remember.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's just funny because today, you talk about tickets and everything that we do socially and social media and everything. But back in the day, we physically had to like get up and go somewhere most of the time to go get something.
Yeah.
I just think it's fascinating.
You
I
can't just
remember
go
a couple times where it would be freezing cold, and we'd stand outside in this line. It was 25 degrees out, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Those moments, but
It's
now
amazing.
everything, yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
Well,
I'm excited. Yeah.
I remember filing my taxes and having to fill out everything, have everything in an envelope and mail it, and then
Yes.
wait to get your check in the mail. Now it's like, now you get mad when your direct deposit doesn't happen in 10 days.
I'm
It's
still
like,
pissed off with Kent State. You remember, Kent State great campus, great university. But back in the day when I was applying for graduate school, right? This is in the early 1990s.
okay.
I had to send everything in, like you just said, like you'd send
And
it in a big envelope, right? So I
Mhm.
was trying to get into grad school. I just moved out to Kansas, and I was looking to come back here.
Okay.
And I applied to like Indiana, Kent State, a bunch of schools back here in Ohio and Pennsylvania, Indiana. Anyway, Kent State lost my material, and it was the one school I kind of really wanted to go to, and so they're going to make me do it all over again, and I was so pissed. Back in the, now if they lose something, you just you can get online, you can do something again or this or that, but back then you had to put everything in a big envelope and mail it, and if they lost it, they were like, well, we lost it, you're gonna have to do it all over. And so I'm still mad at Kent State.
I can imagine. 30 years ago. But that's back in the day before the internet, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth.
Yes, very much so. Lou, any takes? Anything else you got
No,
on your plate? No, good.
no, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys Friday night, and I'll see you Monday night next week.
Yes, we will. Maybe I'll see you Thursday. I know. Wait, do you have another show now Thursday that you're doing for the?
Not that I'm aware of, but we'll see.
We'll
I
do
might
the
have time.
Fanatical Elves. So
might
we'll be on
I'll let you know
Thursday
if I can.
night.
I have to look at the calendar, but I should be able to. I could get into it with Noah.
Yes, that'd be good. Well, folks, thanks again for tuning in. We are stirring the pot. We tried to stir it a little bit. We're going to get really stirring it as we get into the season. But it's been a good start at the Greenbrier for the Brownies. I think we're a lot of positiveness. Cleveland fans are feeling optimistic, which is awesome. And Lou, thanks again for joining. This is awesome. We're looking forward to this.
This is great.
Yeah. All right,
man.
I'm gonna
hit the music.
Play the music here. Let's see if I can find it.
Well,
see you guys.
See ya. Have a good night.
Maybe I gotta turn the sound up.
That would help.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye.